अभ्युदितं येन वागभ्युद्यते तदेव ब्रह्मत्वं विद्धि नेदं यदिदमुपासते यन्मनसा न मनुते येनाहुर्मनोमतम् तदेव ब्रह्मत्वं विद्धि नेदं यदिदमुपासते यच्चक्षुषा न पश्यति येन चक्षुंषि पश्यति तदेव ब्रह्मत्वं विद्धि नेदं यदिदमुपासते यच्छ्रोत्रेण न शृणोति येन श्रोत्रमिदं श्रुतम् तदेव ब्रह्मत्वं विद्धि नेदं यदिदमुपासते यत्प्राणेन न प्राणिति येन प्राणः प्रणीयते तदेव ब्रह्मत्वं विद्धि नेदं यदिदमुपासते यदि मन्यसे सुवेदेति दभ्रमेवापि नूनं त्वं वेत्थ ब्रह्मणो रूपम् यदस्य त्वं यदस्य देवेषु अथ नु मीमांस्यमेव ते मन्ये विदितम् नाहं मन्ये सुवेदेति नो न वेदेति वेद च यो नस्तद्वेद तद्वेद नो न वेदेति वेद च यस्यामतं तस्य मतं मतं यस्य न वेदसः अविज्ञातं विजानतां विज्ञातमविजानताम् प्रतिबोधविदितं मतममृतत्वं हि विन्दते आत्मना विन्दते वीर्यं विद्यया विन्दते मृतम् इह चेदवेदीदथ सत्यमस्ति न चेदिहा वेदीन्महति विनष्टिः भूतेषु भूतेषु विचित्य धीराः प्रेत्यास्माल्लोकादमृता भवन्ति ब्रह्मः देवेभ्यो विजिज्ञे तस्य ब्रह्मणो विजये देवा अमहीयन्त त ऐक्षन्तास्माकमेवायं विजयः अस्माकमेवायं महिमेति तद्धैषां विजज्ञौ तेभ्योः प्रादुर्बभूव तन्न व्यजानत किमिदं यक्षमिति तेऽग्निमब्रुवन् जातवेद एतद्विजानीहि किमेतद्यक्षमिति तथेति तदभ्यद्रवत्तमभ्यवदते.
Swamiji is not feeling well. So we are going to today start Kenopanishad, and whenever Swamiji is not in town, we will continue with that. Okay? Om Sahanau Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Dayakaram Dayakaram Dantam dharma pravartakam pranamami dayanandam madacharya param. This Upanishad is very special. Of course, you will find me saying that about every Upanishad. Because it is very difficult to meet an Upanishad that one does not like. Why? Because it is about oneself. What if one does not like oneself? Well, that is why one is here. One does not like oneself, is not liked by anybody. That is the thing. If I approved my self-disapproval, then I would not be here. This would not be a pursuit of any kind at all if I was okay with self-loath, self-disapproval, self-critique, self-judgment, etc., etc., etc. Am I okay with being self-critical? Say no, so we can move on. Yes? No? No. Am I okay with self-critique, self-disapproval, self-judgment, self-loath? No. So therefore, it is impossible, absolutely impossible to meet, to greet an Upanishad that one does not like. Absolutely impossible. Not possible at all. Thank God. Yes. And if somebody says, I don't like Kathopanishad, I did not like Mundakopanishad, and I'm not going to like Kenopanishad, we know that is a special person. Pujya Swamiji's definition of a special person is one who needs a specialist, is a special person. Okay? But that's not the same definition here when I say this is a very special Upanishad. It's not just me. Adi Shankara also thought it's a very special Upanishad. Why did he think that? Because for every other Upanishad he wrote one commentary. For this Upanishad he has written 2 commentaries. Two commentaries he has written. One is called Padabhashya, word by word commentary. The other one is called Vakya Bhashya, sentence by sentence commentary. Very nice. Wonderful. Why? Oh, it was the ancient times and there was no Netflix and nothing was playing, so he thought, let me write one more commentary. No. That's not the reason why there are 2 commentaries. We will see as soon as we get into this Upanishad that it has mastery in the use of paradox. Every sentence, in each mantra, the first line states something which the second line immediately, as though, contradicts. And out of sheer compassion, sages like Adi Shankara see that this is going to present a difficulty for an already difficult audience who are mired in the everyday pursuits. The infinite pursuit of the finite characterizes the human life. And being well aware of that, Adi Shankara thought this Upanishad needs a little more handle with care treatment. Otherwise, what would happen? We would all come. If there are 60 people in the room, we would have 61 interpretations of what this Upanishad means. What is its tatparya, commitment? What is it talking about? Because there are many, many things about which one can come into a certain spin. One does not understand, one does not follow, one is not able to come to terms with it. This is why the commentaries, even if there were 3 commentaries or 4, we would have happily accepted them, because no matter how much the commentary, we need to get, there's a chair here also, okay, yeah. So we need to get our thinking in order, and that clarity of thinking is what is going to help us overcome this obfuscation which is in the head. And once this Upanishad is properly understood, it will clarify many things connected to Tvam Pada Vichara. Tvam Pada Vichara means the analysis of the word I, you, but then when I say you, what do you have to say? I. Yeah. So the analysis of the word I is very important, because it is caught up in a lot of things like noodles, entangled completely. If there is a bunch of noodles you are eating, let's think, one of them is Satyam, all the others are Mithya. And if you just say, I want Satyam noodle, what will come? Only Mithya will come. And even if the Satyam comes, it will be mixed with all the Mithya noodles, very difficult to differentiate. It's very difficult to differentiate because because of this entanglement, there is a kind of a block. There is a kind of a block because we take everything at surface value, and this is what this particular Upanishad, which is so beautiful, questions. It questions that completely and thoroughly and leaves one's head in a total spin. A slight dizziness after class is a good symptom of this Upanishad. Not real dizziness, but feeling like, what just happened? What just happened? If you're feeling like that after the classes, that means the Upanishad is effective. It is not a side effect. It is in fact the main effect. This is what the sages, this is what Bhagavan wants, this is what the sages who channel the Upanishad, this is exactly what they want. So now we have to look at a very important thing before we get into this Upanishad. We need to revisit 2 things. Even though it has been said many times before, in the introduction to the Mundaka Upanishad, this was highlighted, and these things were also highlighted in the introduction to the, what other Upanishad have we studied? Amrita Bindu, Abba, thank God, nobody has forgotten. So, this was also highlighted in the study of the Amrita Bindu. Yet, the mind being what it is. What is the mind? A sieve. What is a sieve? That which never receives is sieve. Yeah. Sieve is that which does not receive. Okay. Yeah. Sieve means like your tea strainer. You put water through it, what happens? Yeah. It just It cannot retain anything. So too, the mind is like that because of ignorance, the effect of ignorance in the form of habitual orientation. So it cannot or will not accept certain things. That is why they need to be revisited. What needs to be revisited here, which will make our journey into the text easier, is the understanding, our understanding of the word pramana. What is pramana? Means of knowledge. Very good. Pramayaha karanabhutatvat pramanam iti uchyate. Uchyate, it is said. It is said to be pramana. Why? It is pramayaha karanam. Karanam, instrument. Pramayaha. Pramayaha means of knowledge. Ma means knowledge. The prefix pra means that knowledge which is well ascertained. Prama means well ascertained knowledge, and this well ascertained knowledge is what? Is saying that you are Satchidananda. That is the well ascertained knowledge. So that which helps me to understand I am Satyam Jnanam Anantam, or what? Sat Chit Ananda is Pramana. I am Satchidananda is called Prama, well ascertained knowledge, and that which helps me to get there is called Pramana. Pramayaha Karanam, the instrument of knowledge or the means of knowledge. And in the means of knowledge, we have two types. Generally, the means of knowledge can be divided into two. That which directly produce the knowledge, direct knowledge, means of direct knowledge, and means of indirect knowledge. Under the first one comes pratyaksha. Direct knowledge means perception. I'm here. This is here. Do I have to say, oh, please look at the flower? I don't have to tell you that. Eyes are open, the flower is in the hand, and perception happens. Perception happens. It takes place directly. You don't have to infer the flower. Why? It is right in front of you. It is right in front of you. I don't have to tell you, unless you are from Mars, I don't have to tell you this is a book. You can see full well this is a book which is being held up. That which is being shown is a book. This is what is called pratyaksha. Aksham prati. This is how you resolve that. Aksham prati. So directly I know something, and that includes the 5 means of knowledge called sense organs. The knowledge generated by sense organs directly comes under pratyaksha. Pratyaksha is called as such because it is right in front of me. It's known as though it's right in front of me. Dog barking, I hear. Woof, woof, woof. Okay. That's directly understood. This is a dog is directly understood even though I'm not seeing the dog. The auditory perception is also a valid means of direct knowledge. And then what? Gulab jamuns frying. Pratyaksha. You may not see it. How do you sense it? You just picked up the smell walking by the dining hall and said, aha, my day is going to go well because of this smell. See, sudden poetry. Because of this smell, My day is going to go rather well. Ah. Pratyaksha. Sense of touch, pratyaksha. Do I have fever? Pratyaksha. No, I don't have fever. Sense of touch. Sense of touch is not soft and not just soft and hard. It's also hot and cold. Warm, hot, and various things. And you can even, people who are experts can touch the forehead and say, yeah, it's 99.2. I know people who can do that. You have temperature, but it's not so much. 99.2, 99.5 maybe. So, this is pratyaksha, sense of touch. And then what? Even if you do blindfold taste test, you don't let them see things. You blindfold the person, put one patti over the eyes, like Gandhari in the Mahabharata. And then you put some wonderful chocolate brownie on the tongue. What happens? The tongue dances in joy and declares, more, more. Like the advertisement for Coca-Cola, Dil mange more. The heart wants more. Pratyaksha. Direct knowledge. Then when we look at the other pramanas, that where again pratyaksha is not involved, but is it really not involved? It is involved, but somewhere indirectly. Yesterday it was raining, and even when the rain stopped, we knew it had rained. How? Did you have to read the weather report? No. How? Yeah, it was wet, but it's not pratyaksha. Whole ground was wet. Is it pratyaksha? Yes and no. Pratyaksha helps. Yes, the ground is wet. I see the ground is wet. But what do I infer? That it has rained is the inference. The inference is indirect. That the road is wet is direct, yes. But the road is wet is just fact number one. Correct? And from this fact, from this pratyaksha, what do? I derive a conclusion. What is the conclusion? It must have rained. The conclusion must be in keeping with the pratyaksha only. That's why pratyaksha is also called Mula Pramana. Upon that is based all the other pramanas. Upon that is based all the other pramanas. So pratyaksha, I cannot let go of. I have to have pratyaksha. Based on the pratyaksha, I come to a conclusion. That conclusion must be a valid conclusion. Like for example, if I see the roads are wet, what conclusion will somebody not come to? They will not come to the conclusion that somebody has taken a hose pipe and has made all the roads in Rishikesh wet. Why won't we come to that conclusion? Because it is outrageous, number one. And it's not in keeping with pratyaksha, number two. Why? Because the last time it rained, what happened? What did I see? Roads were wet. What did I conclude? It must have rained. Previous to that, when the roads were wet, what did I conclude? It must have rained. And even when it is raining, I see what happens? The roads are getting wet. So you see how the inference is tied to pratyaksha, but it's a different form of means of knowledge. Can you see that? Say yes even if you want to say no. Okay? Yeah. Same thing with arthapatti. What is arthapatti? Huh? Huh? Multi-step inference. Same inference. If it rains, roads are wet. Same inference, but many, many steps. If there is a headache, then what? This particular medicine will help. How do you know? Doctors said to. How do the doctors know? They did a series of tests. First, they took a little club. This is not going to be pretty, but this is what happens in the labs. Bashed up a mouse. Ow, 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 squeak, 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 it said. And then they fed it some paracetamol. Okay? First it was lying on its side all full of headache because it had a head injury. And then they gave it some medicine, and then it started, after the medicine kicked in, it started to move around again. Based on this inference, whatever works on a mouse must work on a human being. With a few side effects, that's all. It's not so simple. There are many, many steps that we, as non-medical people, have happily skipped. But there are many, many steps. This is called arthapatti. Anyatha anupapattau. It is not possible any other way. So the cause of the headache going is what? The medicine. It is not anything else. It's not just because when you were coming to class you saw somebody that you liked. It's not because the breakfast was very good today. That took care of the headache. The headache was removed only by this medicine, otherwise impossible. This is arthapatti, many, many steps, multi-step inference, more than one step inference. Then we have another very interesting one. What is that one? Upama. Is that what was for breakfast today? But that's not what we are talking about. Upama. It's not upma, okay, that's different. Upama means similarity. The law of similarity through which things can be known. This doesn't have to infer, doesn't have to do with inference. It's a different kind of a conclusion here. Based on what I know, I understand what I don't know. Based on the analysis of the soil on the earth, the soil in Mars, the soil on the moon must also behave in the same ways. There are certain similarities. Why? Both are soil. Certain similarities are there, even if it comes from somewhere else. Based on certain similarities, the differences will also be there, but I can recognize soil from Mars. Why? Because I know the soil from Earth. And in fact, my knowledge of the soil from Earth, all the geological knowledge, helps me to analyze the soil from Mars and look for organic residues, signs of life. Was there life long ago? And then based on certain undulations in the soil, which this, what is that called? Curiosity. There is a rover. Rover means that probe that they have sent. Curiosity rover loves to take pictures. So it will take pictures of the terrain and send. And based on the undulations in the soil, one can say, why? Because I know the soil here, and I can say it is similar to the soil on earth, and then when there are these undulations on earth, we know that the water was there before, now it has dried up. A river bed that is dry will have the same kind of undulations. Therefore, what? There must have been water on Mars. Now it is not there. There must have been. And certain other ways, the hillocks have formed. The rock formations, the soil formations give us very important clues of the weather patterns. Whether the wind was blowing in a certain way, whether this was in a particular way, all this was there. How? Because of the similarity. Soil is equal to soil, so therefore I know. Similarly, I can know certain animals. Certain animals that look like, for example, bison. It's all there in Africa. It's not bison. It is called wildebeest. Bison with certain markings and horns which face a certain way. So if you know bison, then you will recognize a wildebeest. This is called upama. Then what? Anupalabdhi, a very peculiar means of knowledge. The cognition of absence. The recognition of absence is a very important way through which I have to go about my life. These are all indirect means of knowledge. Is there a pot in my hand? Why? How do you say that? I don't see it. That becomes pratyaksha. Right? I don't see the pot, becomes pratyaksha. And of course, everything is based on pratyaksha, so we have to go one step further. It's not enough to say, I don't see it. What do I have to say? I cognize the absence of the pot in your hand. Why? Because that which I call pot, where is the pot now? In my head. As soon as I said pot, all kinds of pots started to be formed in the head, correct? Your Ishta pot, gold pot, silver pot, mud pot, clay pot, this pot, that pot. All kinds of pots started to be formed in the head. The pratiti of the pot, pratiti means the cognition of the pot, is what? Is well understood. It first happens in the head. The word pot immediately gives rise to your favorite pot called Ishta pot, like Ishta Devata, Ishta pot. And then when I show you a pot, you say, oh, I got it wrong. I have to adjust the perception. Whatever was perceived in the vritti, when the pot vritti took place in the head, whatever was perceived was much smaller. Because the teacher always uses this as the teaching pot, suddenly now this is being shown. So look at the adjustment that has to happen inside the head. From this I have to supersize to this, correct? Adjustment happens, then only I say this is pot. That is how the pot perception takes place through two operations called vritti vyapti, first operation. First the vritti floods my head. Vritti means thought. But thought floods my head, and then phalavyapti. Phalavyapti means I say, whatever I see in front of me, then I say, this is the pot that I see. It's almost like the sense organs, whatever is needed, in this case the eyes, go out and wrap themselves around the pot and bring back the information so that I can say, this is a pot. This is an object called pot. This is called phalavyapti. No translation. Vritti vyapti, phalavyapti. Just learn some Sanskrit, that's all. Yeah. Vritti vyapti, phalavyapti. Phalavyapti, therefore this is a pot. Phalavyapti. Vrittivyapti, I know pot is in my thought. Vrittivyapti. Pot thought, Vrittivyapti. Objectification of pot happens through Phalavyapti. Now, when I say, do you see a pot in my hand? You immediately say no. Why? Because Vrittivyapti has taken place. Correct? There is no Phalavyapti. That is Anupalabdhi. Vrittivyapti has immediately taken place. I see all kinds of pots. I see the pot in my head in the form of pot thought, but where is Phalavyapti? I am looking for a corresponding pot that is not there. Anupalabdhi, beautiful, magnificent pramana, wonderful. Then we also know, because we are very clever and we are halfway almost through the course. Because we are very smart, we have Medha Shakti, we are chanting Medha Suktam daily, and so we know that these 5 pramanas are what? Useless in knowing the I. We know this for sure. For sure we know this. Therefore, we have to rely on one more pramana. Do we know why these 5 pramanas are useless? I'll tell you in pramana language. Okay. First, what we have? Pratyaksha, direct means of knowledge. And the indirect pramanas are what? The other 4. First one is Mula Pramana, Pratyaksha. The other one is what? Indirect knowledge, in Sanskrit called Paroksha. Paroksha means remote, meaning indirect. Indirect, Paroksha. Remote, Pratyaksha, right here, right now. The reason why these pramanas don't work for the knowledge of the Atman is because the Atma, is it Pratyaksha? No. Is it Paroksha? No. Exactly. Atma is neither Pratyaksha. I can't look at the Atma like I look at these flowers. Absolutely not. It's not available for any means of knowledge that I call Pratyaksha. The direct perception, is it available? No. Is Atma available for indirect perception? I'll just go take a peek and come. I'll infer the Atma. I'll infer the Atma. How will you infer the Atma? I can think, therefore I exist. I think, therefore I am. Who said that? Who said that? A philosopher by the name of Descartes. That's what happens if you put Descartes before Dehorse. Okay? Yeah. You can't put the horse before the cart. Thankfully, he revised himself towards the end of his life. Thank God. How can you think? How can you say, I exist only when I think? In sleep you don't exist? You are not thinking? Do you go into a state of non-existence in sleep? And each time somebody asks you, is it going to rain today? And you say, I don't think so. So you did not think, and then that means you stopped existing in that second? No. Atma is not an object for inference. It's not an object for direct knowledge. It's not an object at all. It's not an object of inference, single inference, multi-inference, multi-step inference. No. It's not an object of comparison. Why? Because that again is remote. One thing known, the other thing unknown, and then you compare the two and come to a conclusion. No. And in this, what is that? In this comparative knowledge, Upama, we have this we have first indirect knowledge and then it becomes direct knowledge. Correct? Wildebeest, I hear about it and then I put on National Geographic TV and see the blessed wildebeest and then it becomes direct knowledge. Does that happen to Atma? First it's indirect knowledge. I know that there is something called Atma and it looks like this perhaps, and then what? I'll go meet it. No possibility at all. Zero possibility. It's not an object. We have to keep repeating that. We have to get that into our heads. And besides, Upama does not work for Atma for one more very important reason. What is that? For Upama, for comparison, how many things you need minimum? 2. How many Atmas are there? 1. Only one, we have to say. Only Atma is there. So Upama does not work. Aha, then only one is left. Quick, Anupalabdhi, that will work. Yepi. If it's not available for objectification, what is the conclusion? It ain't there. It must not be there at all. Simple. Wind up the course quickly. Why bother? Join our Buddhist friends. No? Why? Because who is the one who is talking? Why? Can I negate myself? No. It will be like a small child hiding behind the sofa, playing hide and seek. Don't look behind the sofa, I'm not here. Where will you look first? Behind the sofa. You can't say that. The cognition of absence is not applicable for Atma for all the reasons we have said before. It's not an object. And then second reason is what? It is not absent. It can never be negated. That which can never be negated is I. So it's not pratyaksha. It is not what? Paroksha. What is the Atma? Aparoksha. Sakshad aparokshad brahma mahavakya. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Tat sakshat aparokshad brahma. Sakshat means it is evident. It is evident means what? Not evident to the eyes, the nose, the taste buds. No, it is evident means it is self-evident. Sakshat, self-evident. Aparokshat, because it is aparoksha. Aparoksha means which is that which is neither paroksha nor pratyaksha. Very beautiful use of negation in the Sanskrit language. That which is neither pratyaksha nor paroksha is just, you just put the negative particle, nanj, pratyaya, and negate it. Aparoksha. Aparoksha means it is neither indirect nor is it an object of perception. Means it is what? Always there, always known as I. Never absent, always present, always free, always unbound, always liberated. This is what is called aparoksha. So this is, from this discussion of pramana and atma, why these pramanas do not fit the atma. Then we go to another very important topic. I said we are going to take up 2 topics. The first one is what? Pramana. The second one is pramata. No more. Because pramana and pramata are great friends. One cannot exist without the other. So, this is the segue to the next topic. If Atma is aparoksha, then it is what? Already known. It is known. It is known as what? Aham aham iti sakshat sakshi rupena bhasate. We saw that in the Vivek Chudamani. In the Buddhi, sakshi rupena bhasate. It shines in the form of aham aham aham. I. I sense my own existence without needing to ask you. I don't have to ask you, am I present in the class today? in elementary school, primary school, the teacher will take attendance. Teacher wants to know how many people have come, who is absent, etc. But the student who is there knows I am here, okay? It's not for the sake of student that is present. The teacher takes attendance. The teacher takes attendance for the sake of what? The students that are absent. It's a strange way of anupalabdhi here. So here, my presence is not in question ever, even to me, let alone to anybody else. My presence is not in question to me ever, never in doubt. My presence is always there, is free, it is evident, it is self-evident, self-luminous, self-shining, self-effulgent. We have many, many words for the Sanskrit phrase Svatasiddha. Svatasiddha means established by itself, self-established. You don't need anybody, any pramana to establish it. But then, it is still not known. It should be known. If no pramana is needing to be establish it should be known. The self should be, if it is self-evident, I should know myself. And I do know myself. But then the noodle problem comes. What is the noodle problem? Who are you? Sinking feeling as soon as the question is asked. Don't ask, I'm not. Right now I have fever. Right now I'm not well. Right now I'm sad. Right now I'm upset. Right now I just feel hopeless, listless. Right now I lack this, I lack that. Lackluster. This is who I am. This conclusion, that I am is not subject to pramana, it is not pramana siddha, it is svatas siddha. This conclusion has to be negated. The conclusion is wrong based on the noodle mistake. Taking mithya to be satyam, taking everything at face value, not being able to have the discernment of what belongs here and what does not belong, and therefore taking every passing emotion to be real. Now sad, happy, sad, happy. No wonder one is crazy at the end of the day. So much kind of this yo-yo life. Happy, sad, angry, upset, happy, sad. This is the life. If I hang on and embrace every single passing emotion that is visiting, then what will happen? It's just a recipe for insanity, instant recipe for insanity. Immediate. Just add hot water. Hot water means that in which one is already hot water. This is all it is. Just add hot water, here is the identification. Just add hot water, you have instant soup of what? Instant soup of wrong notions. In fact, you are in the soup. This is what happens. Therefore, the negation is needed, because even though Atma is aparoksha, it's neither the subject matter of pratyaksha pramana, nor is it the subject matter of paroksha pramana, it is aparoksha. Still instruction is needed because of the wrong conclusions to which one has arrived, sadly. The wrong conclusions are based on what? Self-ignorance. But how can the self-shining self be subject to self-ignorance? It's a partial self-ignorance. Like even our favorite example. What is our stock example? Snake rope. Snake rope. Something is unclear. I see it, it is not completely clear. The mind runs to its conclusion. What is the conclusion? Eek, snake. The snake is in my head and it is projected onto something indistinct which I see lying on the ground. Just as I do that, so too all the fears. What is that called? Projections, fearful projections, ashobhana adhyasa, and all the fantasies, positive projections, shobhana adhyasa, which are in the head, are what? They are projected onto the eye. Just like the fear in the head is projected in the form of a snake over a rope, over a garland, whatever it is, lying in the ground, which is not fully ascertained. In the same manner, the projection of my own fears on what? Myself. The Atma is idiot. Why? Because that's what? That's how it is. That's what I know. Why do you know that? Pujya Swamiji used to illustrate this using a very interesting example. Let's say there is a room full of men, he would say. You go from the back and say Rama, and so many Ramas are there. Sita Rama, Raja Rama, so many names are there, common names, ending in Rama, starting in Rama. Half the people will look up, half the people will look back. Are you calling me? Are you calling me? Then you leave 15-20 minutes, come back again and say Krishna. And Krishna is again a common name. The other half will look up. Did you call me? Then you leave another gap. And then go there again and say, donkey. Then what will happen? Everybody will look up. Monkey. Everybody will look up. Why? Because that's what they were called when young. And so, like this, there is a confusion. The confusion is notional. It is not a real confusion. If the Atma was really confused, or the subject matter of confusion, if the subject matter called Atma was really a matter for confusion, we would never be able to resolve it, because that which is real can never be removed. Okay, so then what? It is unreal. We have already dismissed that. The confusion is here. It is neither real nor real, unreal. It is here because it is felt. It is here because it is what brings all the students to ashrams to dismiss this conclusion, this confusion. It is what keeps all the swamis in business. The swamis are employed. Why? Because this confusion is there. So therefore, now going back to the rope snake example, because the rope is confused for a snake, instruction is needed. Not japa, not tapa, not tapas, not japa, all those, not prayer. What is needed is instruction. I do not know rope, therefore I have confused it for a snake. Instruction is needed in the form of na iti, na iti, na iti. This is not a snake, this is not a snake. That is what it is. Only when there is a confusion, negation is required. When there is no confusion, negation has no place. Negation is required when there is a mix-up. Between what? Satyam, I, mithya, feelings, ideas, ideologies, notions. That is why the negation is required. Otherwise, one doesn't need negation. Atma can be directly taught, and then we don't need 3-month course. We don't need 1 month course. 1 day is enough. 1 hour is enough. You just unfold the vastu and then everybody goes away enlightened, happy and free. I wish. That's not the case because of the well-entrenched wrong notions. Starting with this body, starting with the mind, starting with who one thinks one is, etc. Just like to dismiss the snake, instruction is required. Pramana vyapara, pramana vichara is required. Similarly, to dismiss the body-mind-sense complex as the Atma, pramana vichara is required, necessitating a whole another pramana called Shabda Pramana. Pramana in the form of words of the Veda. Veda itself is a means of knowledge. And to accept that, I need one of the very important qualifications for the students that we have discussed in the Viveka Chudamani. What is that? Shraddha. And what did we study in chapter 4? Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Okay? So therefore, Shraddha, reverential reception. That is Shraddha. Reverential receptivity. There are many kinds of receiving. One is, I receive, but I say like this, talk to the hand. Yeah, there is a stay order. Why? Because everything that you say has to filter through all my notions, and whatever I like, based on my ragadveshas, I will take. Whatever I don't like, based on the prejudices, I will spit out. Whatever is in keeping with what I know, but you don't like what you know. You don't like the fact that you are just as good as this body-mind-sense complex. That's okay. But the other thing is also scary because what I know is more important than what you are telling me. This is the opposite of Shraddha. Shraddha means trust. The Veda for us talks about two kinds of trust. One is based on belief, because we don't know. That you will survive death. Veda only says that. First portion of the Veda is based on belief, pure belief. Whether you believe, if you believe it, then it's also a belief. If you don't believe it, what is it? That's also a belief. Pure belief. That I will survive death. How do I know? Veda says that after I survive death, I will travel. And then if I have done enough good karma, I will go to a place called Swarga and enjoy a series of musical concerts. Why musical concerts? Because it takes a certain sattvic temperament to enjoy music. Not heavy metal. That you don't need sattvic temperament. But all other kinds of refined music, classical and all that, we need a sattvic temperament. Even jazz, we need a sattvic temperament. And so we are told, we survive this body, I survive this body, and if I have done whatever good karma I have done, translates into going to Swarga, which is a very wonderful place, and then I will enjoy musical compositions and dances by heavenly yakshas, gandharvas, kinnaras, apsaras, all these celestial denizens of the heaven. And then after the karma is finished, I will come back. If I do not know myself, I will come back to the world of mortals. This much is said in the Veda. What choice do I have? Can I ask a heaven-returned person, how was it? No, I can ask a foreign-returned person. Oh, you went to America, how was it? I can ask, how is it? I also want to go, how to go? I can ask. But heaven returned, will I meet? No. Even if I meet, I will not recognize. So, the first portion of the Veda, which is a treatise in wish fulfillment, requires total Shraddha. Total Shraddha means it's a trust. It's a trust. Because many of the things promised by the first portion of the Veda are not based on non-verifiable beliefs. But Vedanta, what is Vedanta? Last portion of the Veda. Last portion is called Vedanta. Vedanam Antaha. Not Vedadanta. Okay, somebody said that. I have seen so many boards in India for dental clinics called Vedanta. They don't understand. They think it's having to do with tooth and some spiritual tooth or something like that, they think. In America, they remove all the wisdom teeth. So, whether wisdom comes or not, teeth definitely come. So, this is the last portion of the Veda. It has nothing at all to do with wish fulfillment. It has nothing at all to do with belief. It has nothing at all to do with means and ends. But it has everything to do with Shraddha, because it is revealing that which I kind of know and mostly don't know. Like the rope lying on the ground, I know the self is there. I know I'm supposed to be happy. Why me? Even the pharmaceutical companies know that. That's why they keep manufacturing antidepressants after antidepressants and anti-anxieties, because they know I'm not supposed to be anxious. I'm not supposed to be depressed. I'm not supposed to be restless. They know that. I know that. And here comes this knowledge, not a moment too soon, to dismiss this notion that I am a sad, complaining, mortal, subject to death. This is what it dismisses. The question is, how does it do that? How does it dismiss that? We'll see in the next class, whenever that is. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. One announcement. This meditation class, it is 6:55 to 7:25. Let us not do that. Let us keep it 7 to 7:30. Regardless of whenever the puja